loose powder, fixing spray, magic. I want to marry now. Hi everyone, my name is Isa and this is Moody makeup channel. Today I've created for you a winter wedding makeup look. You know, it all depends on what you like, but I decided for more classic, pretty makeup look that can work for most of you. I'm showing you a lot of tips and tricks in this video because I believe that you can also create your wedding makeup by yourself. I'm just highly recommending trying it before at least 2 times so you can really see how the products work together and on top of your skincare routine. Also, don't do any facial before the wedding, 2 weeks before the wedding. But I would recommend a very gentle peeling 1 week before. So you can use the steps that you like, that you want to, you can skip, create your own makeup look from it, or you can completely recreate it if you want to. Everything is possible. So please do me a favor, and if you haven't subscribed yet to my channel, then do so. That would mean so much to me. I know I look crazy right now, but bear with me. Let's just ignore that. I wouldn't skip on primer if you have wedding day. You can use a primer that is going to help you with your specific skin concern. So if you have really oily skin, you can use a mattifying primer, long-lasting primer. If you have super dry skin, you can use hydrating primer, glowy primer, stuff like that. So you can use like very specific primer, or you can use something like this, or Hollywood filter. This is from Eldridge Elevated Glow. You can use from e.l.f. or Catrice filter glow, something like that. But something underneath foundation that is going to make your base to last longer, and at the same time, in this case, it's going to glow up my skin. Also, I really want to add here that a lot of brides like to tan before wedding. Then the face doesn't match body. In that case, I would use some kind of bronzy drops or something like that. But my absolute favorite is from L'Oréal Paris Glotion Natural Glow Enhancer. I wouldn't go as dark on the face as on the body. I would advise you to stay 2 or 1 shade lighter, because once you're going to apply your foundation, your bronzer, contour, the face is going to actually match your body. But if your face is already matching the body and then you use a lot of contour and a lot of bronzer, then you can really see the difference between the face and the body. So that's just a quick tip. I'm not gonna use this because I really like my pale skin in the winter time, and if I would marry someday in the winter time, I would embrace that. But that's no shame to any other who want to tan. That's just like my preferences. So I'm just gonna use the Elevated Glow from Eldridge because it's going to give my skin such a beautiful glow. And because my skin is super dry, I feel that this really helps me with that beautiful skin glow. I hope you can see that. I could get away with this as my only primer because my skin is super dry, but if you have oily skin, I would really highly recommend going with mattifying long-lasting primer. A bit on my forehead, but I would stay away from my T-zone nonetheless. For a wedding day, I would use color corrector, but it all depends if you even need to. So with very dark under eyes, you can use a little bit more peachy or orangey color corrector. If you have rosacea or some other redness, you can use green corrector, and yeah, now would be the time. But be really careful not to apply it where you don't need to, because if you apply peachy or orangey corrector where you don't have dark under eyes, then that part of your skin is going to look orange, you know? Especially if you want your makeup to really last for a long time, for a full day, it's better to create a thinner layers and more layers than 1 or 2 thick layers, and that applies to blush, foundation, concealer, bronzer, contour, eyeshadow, anything. So with color corrector, just use the smallest amount as possible because you're going to apply concealer on top anyway and you don't want those layers to move around too much. I actually don't have any redness going on right now, but maybe here a tiny bit. You can mix it in with your concealer or foundation a tiny bit, or you can go straight on top. But then you have to be very careful with how you're going to apply foundation on top because you don't want to move that layer underneath. I have here a broken vein, so I'm gonna use a bit of green color corrector. With foundation, I would go with the one that you truly trust, the one that it's not too matte or too glowy. Certainly you shouldn't wear SPF on your wedding, so underneath your makeup or mixed in with your foundation, because that is going to reflect. SPF has particles inside which actually bounce off the light, and because of that, if you use flash photography, your face is going to actually look whiter than it is, and you just want to avoid that. So even in the summertime, even if the wedding is outside, usually MUAs just advise not to use SPF on the wedding day. But of course, it's completely your choice. If you have really oily skin, then you should use the most mattifying foundation ever. If you have really dry skin, you can use more glowy foundation than others. So it all depends on your skin, on the finish that you prefer, but usually the best one is natural finish for a wedding day. But I just think that if you have foundation that you really love, just use that one, because you know that you can rely on it. Oh, I have leakage. No. And a sneak peek of my favorite foundation. I'm just gonna use my NARS light reflecting foundation. I really like that it's super light. It gives you a lot of coverage, but at the same time it's not matte. It's actually a tiny bit glowy, but because I have super dry and dehydrated skin, it actually looks really natural on me. So be careful that where you've placed color corrector underneath, that you just tap on the product, not swirl it around because you're going to move that underneath as well. If you don't have anything that you really want to specifically cover on your forehead, then I would use the smallest possible amount of foundation on your forehead, just because it looks more natural. If you have some lines going on, you don't want your foundation to emphasize those. And then a very important thing, especially on your wedding day, but otherwise as well, don't forget your neck. But not only neck. Usually people know that they should apply foundation on their neck, but they forget this part. And this is the part that it's actually the lightest. And if your hair is up, it's going to be very noticeable. Always go behind your ear and on your ears, because ears are always red, always a little bit reddish. So you can also use a little bit of green color corrector if you want to, mix in with your foundation, or just foundation. Okay, a big no before wedding. Don't use products for the first time. Try them on before, not only once, but even better, just try the makeup at least once, or it's even better twice before your wedding day, so you can see how everything works together, how it works on top of your moisturizer and other skin products. It's the safest way. So really take your time with foundation, with your base, because that's literally the most important thing for a wedding, because if the base is flawless, then everything else is going to look really nice. When you apply contour, blush on top, if the foundation doesn't work, everything else is going to look really patchy and weird and all that. Another tip that I really like, don't yet apply concealer. And you're going to see why and when to apply it. So from this point on, I would go for a contour or bronzer. Another really great tip is to use the same brush as you did with your foundation and use a cream contour. Of course, you can use a powder contour if you want to, but then you should reverse some steps. So you always need to apply liquids and creams first, then you need to set your base and then powders on top. So I'm gonna go here with creams and liquids now, but if you don't have cream or a liquid contour and blush or highlighter, then you should first powder and then move on as I do. If you have a cream or liquid contour or a bronzer even, then use the same brush. Again, less is more, and you can always add more. It's harder to remove. Now, tap it off on the back of your hand and don't be shy. You want your foundation, your contour to really go into your hairline, because otherwise it's going to look really weird if you can see the line where the foundation ends. And I know it can be daunting, but I promise you, you want to do this for your wedding day, especially if you have lighter hair here, and then later on you can see on photos like a white patch right here, like you don't have even hair, and a big line of foundation here. So really go in there. It doesn't matter, you're going to wash your hair. With contour, you want to go higher than you think. Don't go here too low. Go a tiny bit higher so you create this a little bit more lifted effect. And really take your time with blending. Your wedding makeup cannot be done in 30... I mean, it can be done in 30 minutes. But if you want your makeup to look really flawless, then you really need to take your time. I would go for an hour and a half and really make this time to be also your relaxation time before the wedding. It's just better to have some extra time than to hurry up with your makeup. Then I wouldn't skip this step. So go from here down to your jawline, to snatch your jawline, and then a bit down on your neck. Again, because you want your face to match your neck. I'm literally using the smallest amount on my neck, don't you worry. I don't want to use a lot because that would be weird. And then I'm going to show you the easiest way to contour your nose. I'm using the same product from Vieve, using smaller brush, and I'm just tapping the product on the center of my nose, on my bridge. Then I'm connecting this to this arch right here. I'm adding it a tiny bit here and around. I'm creating a shadow basically, and I'm just trying to blend it out. It looks muddy right now, but just wait a bit. You can add it a little bit underneath your lip so it looks a tiny bit bigger. You can use it also on the top, but if you're not comfortable with this, don't do it. For my blush, I'm just loving the creams and liquids right now for my base. It really helps my dry skin, but that doesn't mean that these products are not going to last for a long time. It's all in how you apply it and which products you use, because you can have liquids that can disappear really quickly and that can stay for a long time. And this blush is a really good example because it's a really long lasting and very pigmented blush. It's from Rare Beauty, of course, you already know it. This is in the shade Happy. Again, because it's super pigmented, I just thought that this is a perfect wedding blush. And it's super cute. This is a mini sized one. I'm going to apply it on the back of my hand. Then I'm grabbing small synthetic round brush. Again, I'm really pushing it into the brush, into the bristles. And then from here, I'm gonna smile and I'm going to go a little bit higher than I think I need to. And then I'm just tapping it on. And now I'm gonna see how much can I add. Yeah, I haven't applied enough. I was a little bit afraid to apply too much, but I can always add more. Tapping, tapping, tapping. I don't want to move around products underneath. Because of that, I'm just tapping. In that way, I'm also blending the product. And the very traditional way of applying blush is actually on the apples of your cheeks. So right here, and then I'm gonna stretch it just a tiny bit up to the temples, but you don't need to do that. Also, I think that it's super cute if you apply, but really the smallest amount ever, on your nose and on your chin and a tiny bit on your forehead, but in such a small way that it's almost not noticeable, but it kind of all comes together and works really nicely. And the blush is the first one to go, so you can actually apply just a tiny bit more than you think that you need to. Also, it depends on the formula, so that's why you need to try it before your wedding day. So you can see how quickly the blush, for example, disappears, so you know how much you can add it. This is a trick that most people don't know. You want to add a bit of a blush on your neck as well, but that's, again, it's not noticeable. No one is going to see that I have a bit of a blush on my neck, but my neck is going to actually match my face. You really need to be careful with this one. You can apply it when you almost don't have it on your brush anymore. Okay, I really like this shade for a wedding day. I'm going to do my brows now. I'm still skipping the concealer. I'm just using the one that I like the most. It's from L'Oréal Paris, Infallible Brows in the shade Blonde. I'm creating a very soft natural brows because I really like natural makeup. I almost forgot highlighters, so I want something really gentle. Like for wedding, I wouldn't want my skin to beam like a disco ball. So I thought this is actually a perfect product. This is from Dior Forever Glow Maximizer in the shade Pink. It's a very light pink. High points of my cheeks with this one. A little bit on my nose, tiny bit. So it's a very gentle, very gorgeous highlight. It's nothing obnoxious. And also, you shouldn't forget that I almost forgot to say it. If you have your dress very low, you also want to cover the décolletage. So pimples, scarring. If you don't have anything to cover up, just go maybe with a highlighter on some high points. I'm just gonna use the Crystal Nebula from Eldridge as well. On your shoulders, that's a good one. You can see how sexy that looks. If you use a lot of contour or a lot of bronzer, I would go with that as well. So where you have shadows anyway going on, just go in with that brush, but again with the smallest amount. Now I'm gonna go actually to my eyes. I'm not gonna have like a really dark eye look. If I would do that, then I would go with the eyes first before I would apply any base. But because I know that my eye look is going to be very pearly and very soft, and I know which eyeshadows I have, and I know that they don't have fallout, I'm gonna go in with these right now, but because I don't want to risk it completely, I'm going to apply concealer at the end. Before applying your eyeshadows, just use eyeshadow primer. Really do it. Even if you have a really cheap one, it's better than not using it at all. But if you really don't have it, then you can still apply a bit of concealer, a very small amount, and then you need to set it with powder. I'm using Paint Pot from MAC because it's going to cover my veins as well. So even though that I've used MAC Paint Pot because I have hooded eyes and my eyelids are super oily, I'm gonna need to powder that as well. So if you have problems with your eyeshadow smudging, creasing, if at the end of the day your eyeshadow looks like a total mess and brownish because all colors just melted together, then you need to apply powder on top of your eyeshadow primer. I have actually 3 eyeshadow palettes here. I'm gonna start with Fantasi. This is an affordable brand. I would highly recommend it because it's a small brand, but they have such a good products. So I'm gonna use the lighter pearly shade because I'm very dark in this part of my eye. I'm just dusting it. Not a lot, just a little bit, and a bit underneath the brow arch. Then I'm gonna apply this one because I just think it's a perfect crease shade and it's so soft that it's very hard to mess it up. Don't go too far upwards here, start a little bit lower because when you're blending it, it's going to go up anywhere and you don't want to end up to your brows. I'm highly recommending this one, but it's very expensive. So if you don't have a lot of money, then I think this one is great from Fantasi. If you can splurge a little bit, then this one from Eldridge, Vega eyeshadow palette, is absolutely beautiful, and the formula, it's so good to use. The eyeshadows just blend themselves basically. You're quickly done, it's not patchy, it's beautiful formula. So I'm gonna go in with this one now on my crease as well. Okay, I'm gonna use this shade now. Let's see if I have some better brush for this one. Okay, I'm just gonna use this one now. So tap it off. You can also go in on the back of your hand and tap it off there so you don't have fall out. Okay, so I'm just adding that shade on the outer corner of my eye. I'm just tapping it on again because I don't want to have any fallout. Make sure that at the end, in the outer corner, you want to pull the eyeshadow up. And also, yeah, I knew that this brush is not the right one and I did it anyway. I advise using very small brushes. It's just, you have more control with it. This is where the magic comes in as well. You don't need to worry that much about the outer edge because we are going to go in with concealer anyway, and we are going to create a perfect outer corner. I'm just smudging it right here in the outer corner, and then I'm pulling it a tiny bit more in the crease so I have a little bit more depth in the crease, and I'm creating a very like classic eye look basically. And then I'm gonna use this shade, It's Everything. I'm gonna apply it with my finger and in the center part of my eyelid and towards the inner corner. And now I'm just gonna show you what I meant with concealer. And again, use concealer that you can trust, that it's not going to move around too much, that it's not going to dry up your under eyes. I really like the Tower 28 concealer, serum concealer, or Dior Forever Skin Correct. They are very similar. And don't be shy with concealer, but at the same time you don't want to apply too much. And here you can now create the shape that you want to. And leave it be for a few seconds. Also, now you can contour your nose as well. I'm taking angled brush and then creating a line. And then you can do a reverse contouring as well. So apply concealer underneath your contour and then you can just blend it out. Can you see the difference? For eyes, you have so many options, you know. You can use just a liquid eyeliner very close to the lashes. You can use a smudgy liner and smudge it out. You can also just use a very dark eyeshadow and smudge it upwards. But somehow I feel I need to apply an eyeliner. I'm not gonna do a flick this time because I want this to be super classy. So just go very close to your eyelashes, maybe even in between your eyelashes. Don't create a flick, but you have to end it somehow. Just a straight line. I cannot see that far away. Okay, so now I've just created a thicker line at the end. Right now it looks maybe a little bit weird, but with mascara and all that, you're gonna see that it's going to look alright. Okay, so now that my concealer dried a tiny bit, I'm gonna actually use something else. I can blend it out. So this is it. This is what I was talking about. I wouldn't skip the bottom part of your eyes because it can look a little bit weird if you only have concealer going completely up to your eyelashes. It just doesn't look, it doesn't look natural. So you want to first really make sure that concealer is really well blended up here. And then at least, if nothing else, just use the same shade as you used in your crease. And it's going to look immediately so much better, more natural. Your eyes are going to look bigger. That shimmery shade in this part of my eye, but literally the smallest amount. Now you can use colors for your eyelashes, which I cannot find. You can also use some kind of a mascara primer if you want to, because I cannot find my curlers. I'm gonna use eyeshadow mascara primer, and then use mascara that is not going to smudge. You're gonna probably cry. Also, you don't want mascara that crumbles and stuff like that, so you can use the waterproof one, or if you have some kind of a tubing mascara that you can rely on. This one is great. It's from MAC, Giga Extended Play Giga Black Lash Mascara. I love this mascara. I think this is actually my favorite one. I wouldn't probably use false lashes just because I don't like to wear them, but they can look really nice. I really like the ones from Kiss, the individuals, but they're actually like 3-in-1. Those are super quick to apply and super natural. And the medium ones, the large ones are too large, so the small and medium ones. But then I also remember that Lilac Street, they sent me so many of these eyelashes and they look really, really natural. And the best thing is that these you actually apply underneath your eyelashes. You need to try them before. Again, you need to test them first at least 3 times because you need to get used to it. The application and the wear, it's a little bit different. I really, really like this style of falsies. I hope you can see them. These are Dawn, if you're gonna check them out. So why I really like the false eyelashes that you apply underneath, it's because you cannot see the strip on top. You just need to apply the glue. This is the black glue that you apply as you would mascara, but you don't need to apply them all the way because it's going to glue a tiny bit your eyelashes together. So I would just go underneath and just apply it there. And then you just stick them up there. These are very lightweight, so that's a good thing if you usually don't wear eyelashes. You want something that you're not gonna feel because otherwise it can bother you all day long. Yeah, I would apply only 2 at the outer corner, and now my eyelashes look so thick and fluffy. And you can see how that eyeliner now kind of comes together. If you want, you can create, of course, thinner eyeliner if this is too much for you, if you want even more natural look, or you don't even apply eyeliner at all. And you can wear these many times, which is a really nice thing. I know that many people don't like to apply mascara on the bottom eyelashes. Me, for everyday, I don't do it, but for special occasions and for evening look, I think I kind of need to open my eyes a little bit more. I'm gonna use the brush from Agnoise, and I'm gonna apply the mascara on that brush. Then I'm just gonna look up. I think it looks very romantic. Now that we have done all of this, we need to set. I'm using Givenchy Prisme Libre in the shade 2. And this is the only time that I would use a bit more than usual, because I really don't need powder at all because of my dry skin. But if I want my makeup to really, really last, then this is the way to go. You need to choose the lightest powder that you can find, the one that you can top if you want to in the middle of the day, and that it's not going to look powdery. And I'm gonna show you another trick, because because of my dry skin, I really don't like when the powder is visible. I'm also contouring by applying the powder underneath here, because it's a bit lighter. And then my forehead. And then I'm gonna go very, very gently and slightly on top of my blush and highlighter. But really, I'm using the smallest amount. The trick is to use a setting spray. If you have dry skin, then I'm highly, highly recommending Extra Glow from Urban Decay. Otherwise, use a normal one. If you have really oily skin, use mattifying, oil controlling primer. This makes my skin like super smooth. It doesn't look like I have powder on top, and the makeup is going to last. Loose powder and fixing spray, magic. So you can already see that my blush disappeared a tiny bit. What would I do is I would go with powder blush now on top of it. Use a very similar shade and just tap it on. This one is from Milani and it's gorgeous. And also I really like to do this trick. I learned this from Elegance. Use blush on the crease. Not a lot, again, just a tiny bit. It just ties in the makeup. If you want your makeup to seal in even more, you can now repeat the process. You can apply a bit of loose powder on top if you want to. Now the lips. This lip liner, the shade is just perfect. It's from Lisa Eldridge, Sculpt and Shade Lip Pencil in the shade 0N. And I'm gonna contour and slightly overline my lips. You don't need to overline if you don't want to. But if you're overlining, don't overline it in the outer corners, because your lips are gonna look like a duck's lips. Just overline the center part of your lips. And really work in the product. Really go back and forth. You could use only pearly lip gloss on top, or I have some ideas here for you. Pillow Talk from Charlotte Tilbury, if you want more glittery lips. Then I have from L'Oréal Paris. This one is in the shade Le Rosy Confident. I think I'm gonna apply this one. I'm just tapping it on the center part of my lips. And then I'm blending it in like that. Also, I have here these two from L'Oréal Paris. These are, one is Breakfast in Bed and the other one is Lipstick in Chili. So I have here some more neutral options. And then Super Vinyl inks. I love this formula so much. It stays on for such a long time. They're kind of transfer proof, but they are not drying up your lips. But I just think I'm just gonna try to apply a bit of Charlotte Tilbury Pillow Talk on top. This is actually like diamonds, Pillow Talk diamonds, so that it's a tiny bit more festive lip. Love this one. I can take off my hair. Don't mind my hair. I've tried my best. I'm not the one for hair. I know makeup. I don't know anything about hair. I almost forgot. We need to lock in the brows. So I'm gonna use Super Lock brow glue from Maybelline. I really like the one from Anastasia Beverly Hills as well. The Brow Freeze Gel. But this is like the drugstore brow gel that works as a glue almost. I want a winter wedding now. I'm super grateful that you watched until the end. If you enjoyed, then please help me out and like this video, subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet. You can always donate something small by clicking the thanks button down below. Have a lovely, lovely the rest of the year, and bye.